Hey, I'm Amanda. I studied neuroscience at the university level. Worked in the lab, not just in the books, on studies, experiments in anxiety and PTSD on rodents, mice, right? And even I assisted on a schizophrenia study on rats, which is a little abstract when you want to think about modeling something as complex as schizophrenia in something as simple as a rat. It was more just a bummer because then the study's done and you got to kill the rats and dissect their brains, and then you got to sign papers if you work in the lab that says that's what you'll do. You can't back out. You got to take part in that. So that's pretty far in my past. But I think what gave me an even much better idea of what's going on well beyond what the textbooks could have taught me, or even the lab experience, was the 6 years I spent in a relationship with a person who suffers from schizophrenia and bipolar. So I've seen it up close. I have felt the pain secondhand, and I got a bit of an empathy problem. So I really felt it. I really feel for this beast that is causing so much wreckage and destruction. And I just want to say to anybody that's out there in YouTube, clicking and trying to look for ways, through internet research to alleviate this situation, just good job. Okay, keep at it. There are things that you can do. You can heal and you can get better, and don't believe all the hype about this being a permanent condition. All right, that's beautiful for the pharmaceutical industry if they're able to think of it that way. But it's not that way. It doesn't have to be that way. There's hope. There are people getting better. There are people getting relief. There are even people getting cured. All right, and I believe that this can happen for you too, or your friends or loved ones, whoever you are. Thanks for stopping by. I don't really know how to make YouTube videos yet, but I'm gonna give it a try. Okay, here's a little something that I put together a while back. If there's a non-toxic about the cure is vitamins, there's a vitamin treatment that's helping people, it's curing people. It's called orthomolecular. That just means vitamin science. Okay, you can take multivitamins every day and a huge dose of B3, and in a couple months you could be better, literally. Okay, plus a ketogenic diet, and I'm gonna try and, without rambling on for 20 minutes, try and sum that up while you want to do that. But first things first, if there's a non-toxic, I've cut off the end here. If there's a non-toxic, there you go, treatment for schizophrenia, well, why don't we know about this? Why haven't we heard about this? Okay, money makes the world go round. If the medical industry can't make money off of it, then who's going to promote it? Who's going to even pay for the research in the first place? Okay, and the people who are involved, the doctors who've been involved in this, these nutrition therapies, they've found that they can't even really get published in the medical books. All right, people who are in med school and teaching in med school, they want to talk about brand new technologies. They want to talk about surgery. If you've ever seen like Grey's Anatomy, okay, for a little example, how excited do those kids get about some fancy new surgery? It's like we're human, we're all human, right? So you want to try and understand that it's not going to help us to be angry about a corrupt industry or whatever, or the fact that money drives our society, or that the humans in the medical schools, they're more interested in technology and surgery than learning about vitamins and nutrition. All right, because that's an exciting field. And gosh, there's some I've got down here at the bottom too, I think. Oh, don't I talk about somewhere in here? Yeah, I talk about how I think schizophrenia, I mean, it's a lot to handle, right? It's a lot to handle. Like even like these doctors, they put a lot of money in their schooling, and they go out to lunch at a nice restaurant, and they have their mortgage, and at the end of the day, they're gonna watch their TV or movie. It's like it's very easy to keep separate from this condition, to think of this as sort of a different class of people, okay, and to just be focused on their own quality of life and not want to think too deeply about the sorts of themes that might come out from someone's mouth who is suffering from schizophrenia. So they get marginalized, right? They get stigmatized. They just get placed into this group, okay, and the doctor's not gonna like be like me, like oh man, I spent 6 years in love with this person, this is like a real human being, what can I do? The doctor's gonna be like, all right, what's the medical protocol? Is it lithium, risperidone? What are we gonna try next? What am I gonna prescribe you? Because that's what's done. Okay, me, I went into a Google wormhole or whatever, and I found this stuff, and maybe it could help you. Maybe it could help you or your loved one. Because look at this little chart. It used to be it used to be, look at this, 40 out of every 100,000 people. What is that, in 1860? Okay, so we've got over 100 years to go. All right, before we hit the industrialization of the food industry, which has just drained our food of the nutrients and vitamins, but not only that, it's added a bunch of preservatives and like sugar and carbs. Like they literally just like add sugar to the foods. Have you looked at your like nutrition labels? They're just adding like grams and grams of sugars to anything, like yogurt, like salad dressing, like you can't hardly buy any processed mass marketed food without it having sugar added into it. And then not only that, but just the processing process. I think I tried and sum it up here in the writing over here, if you're catching it. It has just drained a lot of the nutrition out of the foods. And so over the same course that you have this modernization of our diet and our mass distributed diet and all of this sugar added and processed chemicals into the everyday stuff, instead of just living off of simple local food like they had no choice but to do in 1860, okay, you have the cases of people who were institutionalized and diagnosed with schizophrenia increasing and skyrocketing, and like this was just at the advent of this mass production of food, like only stopping in 1914. Okay, and here, so but let's think, how many people? Okay, 40 in 100,000. I went to this little calculator on Google. That's 0.0004%, 40 out of 100,000 people having schizophrenia, or having that label. How many are there today? 1 in 100. 1 in 100, that's 1%. Okay, so that in 150 years of changing the way that we eat, go from 0.0004% of people suffering from this to 1%, a full 1%, not 0.1% from 0.004, 1%. 1%. All right, and yeah. And here's where I pulled up this chart, because you have this guy in Canada, Hoffer, who, by the way, could not get his stuff published. He had so much trouble getting his stuff published in the medical journals or getting them to teach it in the medical school. But he spent 20 years treating, 2,000, or was it 20,000? 2,000, over 2,000 people who've been diagnosed with schizophrenia that he'd healed in the course of his 20 years as a doctor, as a psychiatrist, and he was applying this orthomolecular method using vitamins, okay, primarily vitamin B3, as well as the mix of others, which I think can be covered pretty well with a multivitamin. Keep it simple, right? But do not sleep on the B3. Get yourself 3,000 milligrams every day. You will be, okay, you could be feeling better within weeks, all right? And some people, and I've even tried the B3, like, some people, like, you will just feel more, like, you feel less stress, like, after you take it. Like, it is not worth not trying. 40 to 60% of the patients who put on this treatment healed. Maintained long-term results. Okay, and by the way, a large number of these people, why the percentage isn't higher, I remember from his article, is because they didn't give up something like alcohol, okay? They were drinking to deal with this. There's a lot of sugar in alcohol, okay? They didn't want to give up sugar and the chemical addictions to the food. So, that's, I mean, what you want to say, unfortunately, whatever. It is what it is. There's the vitamin aspect, and then there's the food garbage aspect. You got to get the garbage out of the food that you take into your body, and then you can use the way that you eat and the nutrition information that you give to your body and to your brain to heal you from this horrible disease that's trying to rob you of your life and your loved ones and reality and any sense of well-being that you could have ever desired. So it might be worth eating a little differently. And now why? Why is that? Because your brain needs vitamins and your brain needs lipids, fat molecules, for fuel. Instead of sugar, it's a much better fuel for your brain. You can look into ketogenic diet. They'll tell you about that all day long. People are getting healed from all sorts of physical ailments by doing the ketogenic diet, not to mention losing weight. If you've had to put on any weight over the years because of these drugs and things that they put you on, there's one reason just to try ketogenic diet. And let's say in a side effect that in a month, you're not under so much stress. Your stress cycles start to heal in your brain, and you might not have to have a psychotic break this year. Well, wouldn't that be beautiful? I mean, what a diet. What an excellent advertisement for a diet. You could lose lots of weight and you might not have to have a psychotic break this year. Wouldn't that be beautiful? I would love to see that, y'all. How does the orthomolecular work? Well, you just take some vitamins. Well, you need to thicken and strengthen your brain cell walls because they've been deteriorating ever since this began happening to you, and even before that, right from childhood. If you're born with an increased need for vitamin B3, okay, it's not in the food, okay? You've been lacking it this entire time. There's a buildup in the effects of that. Your brain cells, they need help. And they need the magnesium and the lipids, right? Like the fish oils and stuff like that. That's actually a good one, too. If you want to take fish oil along with your multivitamin, it's a very good idea. I like fish oil. It's good for digestion and everything moving through the body. Excuse me for yawning. Oh, it's already been 13 minutes. I gotta learn how to do this fast. I know how YouTube is like. People don't have attention spans, man. Methylation. It is a necessary DNA replication process for healthy cells. When people lack vitamins, methylation slows down. Did you know that scurvy is a well-known vitamin deficiency that can lead to psychosis? Have you ever heard of pellagra? That's a name for a different form of psychosis that's brought on by vitamin B deficiency. Did you know that sometimes people that are having pellagra are getting diagnosed with schizophrenia? No, it's relatively rare, to be honest. It's not like, oh, you probably have pellagra and it got this misdiagnosed. No, but it could happen. And guess what? Let's say if you're partially halfway there to pellagra but don't have it, well, that's not going to help your bipolar or your schizophrenia. Let's get some vitamin B in you, please. Please, please, will you take some vitamin B? Please, will you spend a month taking 2 to 4,000 milligrams every day, please? Take 2,000 milligrams twice a day. Oh my gosh. What if it could help you? What if it could give you a little bit of relief? What do all those drugs have in common? All these crazy drugs they're putting people on. Can't even get. All these crazy drugs that they're putting people on, what do they have in common? They temporarily increase methylation rates. They temporarily, through a chemical means, increase methylation, which is a natural biological process that can be increased through nutrition permanently. You can rebuild and lay down healthy pathways in the brain by addressing this as a nutritional issue, okay? Or, you could take some lithium and you can sorry, not to be rude about lithium. I know it can help people. It can shut down a psychosis within days, within like hours, right? And that's a blessing. That's an amazing, wonderful thing that it can do. All right. It's also got side effects. Okay, that can do harm. And have you ever tried or known somebody that tried lithium and it pulled them out of psychosis? Thank God. And they stayed on it for however long is the cycle, for the 6 months, for the 8 months, for the year. And then they ended up falling into another psychosis anyway, even though they were still on the lithium. Well, that's because the body adjusted. Okay, antipsychotics are great for pulling someone out of a psychosis in a dangerous situation, in a pinch, fast even. As they temporarily increase methylation. But if your body gets used to this chemical increase for a year, then your body can still have a crash and fall into a psychosis. Whereas if you were to take the approach of using natural means, vitamins and nutrients to build up the methylation rate for your brain permanently, well, then you might not have that relapse after the year, after the 6 months or the year. You might not have it. Or, like a lot of people who tried this are testifying, you might have a very mild version. You might have a very mild, much more mild version. Like, let's say you'll just have a bipolar cycling and it will never turn into a full-on psychotic break. Wouldn't that be beautiful? And then you could come back from that, spend the year taking more vitamins and things. Maybe getting involved in some therapy, working on sobriety, staying away from the mind-altering substances, and maybe then you'll keep from relapse, People are getting cured, man. People are getting cured.